If you had a time machine and could visit any year in history, there is one year you should absolutely avoid.
What?
Like, turn the machine around, delete the destination, throw the manual into a volcano.
Bruh.
Because the year 536 AD was so bad that historians sometimes call it one of the worst years to be alive. And human history contains a lot of competition. We're talking wars, famines, plagues, and people thinking bloodletting was medicine.
Oh my God!
So that's a pretty crowded field. So what happened? Well, imagine waking up one morning. You look outside, and the sun seems broken. Not completely broken, just wrong. Dim, weak, like somebody accidentally turned the brightness down to 15%. For over a year, much of the world sat under a mysterious haze. Ancient writers described the sun as looking like the moon, which is not something you want your giant, life-giving star to resemble. If the sun starts looking tired, that's usually a bad sign. Scientists now think a massive volcanic eruption blasted enormous amounts of ash into the atmosphere.
Oh, hell no!
And suddenly, the weather started acting weird. Very weird.
Ollie, it's gonna rain!
Summer arrived, and then apparently forgot to do its job. Temperatures dropped, crops struggled, harvests failed, and people started realizing they had a serious problem.
Assassinated today, only hours after revealing to the world that...
Because humans can survive many things, but eventually, everyone needs lunch.
Huh?
Imagine being a farmer. You spend months planting crops, watering them, protecting them, watching them. Then the weather says no, and everything dies. That's not a bad farming season. That's a disaster. Back then, there were no supermarkets, no grocery delivery, no emergency food shipments, no "we'll restock tomorrow." If the harvest failed, your food failed. Simple as that. And here's the really fun part. By fun, I mean absolutely terrible. The weird weather didn't just last a few weeks. It lasted for years. Years. Imagine having one terrible winter, then another, then another. At some point, you'd start suspecting the sun had simply quit its job. Honestly, if I were living in 536, I'd probably walk outside, see another freezing summer, and immediately go back to bed. People began panicking, which is understandable because nobody knew what was happening. Today, we'd have scientists, weather satellites, news reports. Back then, people were basically staring at the sky and guessing. Some thought the gods were angry, some thought the world was ending, and considering the circumstances, those guesses weren't completely unreasonable. Then, things got worse. Because history wasn't finished bullying humanity yet.
You serious?
A few years later came the Justinian Plague, one of the deadliest pandemics in history. Millions died, cities emptied, trade collapsed, entire regions struggled to recover. Imagine surviving years of famine, only for a plague to arrive. That's like escaping a shark and landing directly on another shark. And remember, nobody knew what germs were. Imagine getting sick. Your neighbor gets sick. Your whole town gets sick. And nobody understands why. No antibiotics, no vaccines, no hospitals, no doctors saying, "Good news, we know what's causing this." Instead, everybody was basically trying random ideas and hoping for the best, which is usually not the strategy you want during a pandemic. Then, the economy started collapsing. Because when millions of people die and crops fail, business tends to suffer. Shocking, I know. Trade routes weakened, Cities struggled. Governments lost resources. Everything became harder. It's like history accidentally activated every disaster setting at once. And because humans remain remarkably committed to terrible timing, there were also wars. Of course there were.
I bid you stand!
Because apparently, famine, plague, and climate disasters weren't enough. Somebody always decides it's also a great time to start fighting. Let's compare your average day in 536 to today. You wake up. The sky looks strange. Food is running out. Disease is spreading. The economy is collapsing. The weather is broken, and war might be happening nearby. Meanwhile, no electricity, no internet, no refrigerator, no medicine, no air conditioning, no streaming services, no pizza delivery, no memes. Honestly, the lack of memes alone would have been devastating. Think about it. Today, people get upset when their phone battery reaches 10%. Imagine explaining that to someone in 536 AD. What's wrong? My phone is dying. What is a phone? It lets me watch videos. What is a video? Meanwhile, they're trying to survive a civilization-sized disaster. So was 536 AD really the worst year in history?
I don't know, you tell me.
Historians still argue about it. Humanity has produced plenty of terrible years. But 536 AD is definitely near the top. Because it wasn't one problem. It was every problem. A darkened sky, global cooling, crop failures, famine, economic collapse, plague, war. It's basically the historical version of getting hit by a bus, then discovering the bus was carrying more buses.
What? What? What?
So the next time you're having a bad day, maybe your internet is slow, maybe your coffee spilled, maybe somebody took your parking spot. Just remember, at least the sun is functioning normally. And honestly, that already puts you ahead of most people living in 536 AD.